Every plate of spaghetti you've ever twirled around your fork was once a silent promise made in the dark, between a single golden kernel of wheat and the ruthless machines that would decide whether it lived or died. Tonight, you're coming with me. Past the locked gates. Past the NO entry signs. Into the cathedral of steel where pasta is not cooked, it is forged in a war that never sleeps. The air hits you first. Thick, hot, alive. A roaring furnace of steam and wheat dust that claws at your throat. Giant mixers the size of trucks scream like jets taking off. Conveyor belts thunder overhead like endless steel rivers carrying millions of lives toward their fate. One mistake here, 1 degree too hot, 1 second too slow, and an entire day's production turns to worthless mush. Perfection is not the goal. Survival is. This is where your spaghetti is born screaming. It starts in silence, under a sun that punishes. Durum wheat. The hardest, meanest, most unforgiving grain on earth. Grown only where summers are brutal and rain is a rumor. Southern Italy, the scorched plains of North Dakota, the wind-scoured Canadian prairies. Farmers don't plant this wheat because it's easy. They plant it because it fights back. Its kernels are glass-sharp, packed with protein like armor plating. When the combine rolls in, the air turns gold with dust and the ground shakes. This is harvest day. The day the wheat either proves it's worthy, or gets left to rot. They watch the moisture like hawks. 13.2%. 13.4%. 1/10 too high and mold wins. 1/10 too low and the kernels shatter into worthless powder. There is no second harvest. There is only this moment. This knife edge. The combines roar forward, blades flashing, swallowing entire fields in minutes. The wheat screams as it's torn from the earth. And somewhere deep inside those hoppers, the war has already begun. Trucks haul the grain through the night. No lights. No stops. Because time is the enemy now. Every hour in the silo is an hour closer to spoilage. When the gates finally slam open at the factory, the real violence starts. The wheat is dumped into pits that look like the jaws of some ancient beast. Cleaners rip through it, magnets snatching nails, screens hurling stones, air blasts blowing away chaff like machine gun fire. What's left is pure. Hard. Ready to kill or be killed. Then comes the mill. Imagine a building-sized monster made of steel and fury. Rollers the size of cars crush the kernels with 20 tons of pressure. Sparks fly. Metal screams. The wheat explodes into golden semolina, coarse, sharp, glittering like desert sand. This isn't flour. This is shrapnel. Every grain is a weapon designed to hold its shape when boiling water tries to break it. The mill never stops. 24 hours a day. 365 days a year. Because the world never stops eating pasta. The semolina is tested again. Brutally. Protein content. Gluten strength. Color. Falling number. One batch fails, one single batch, and it's gone. Burned for fuel. No mercy. Only the strongest survive. Now the real alchemy begins. Deep in the heart of the factory, in a chamber sealed like a vault, semolina meets water for the first time. But this is no gentle kiss. Water is blasted in at precise pressure. Temperature controlled to the degree. 38 degrees Celsius. 39 degrees Celsius. 1 degree off and the gluten dies or explodes. The mixer, a screaming titan of blades and augers, attacks the mixture with terrifying violence. No smooth dough here. What forms looks like wet sand. Couscous from hell. This is intentional. If the starch swells too fast, the pasta will collapse later. If it doesn't swell enough, it will be brittle as glass. The workers call this stage the breathing. Because for these few minutes, the mixture is alive. Gasping. Fighting. Desperate to become something more. Then, without warning, the pressure drops. Silence. And the extrusion begins. This is the moment of birth. And it is brutal. The dough is forced through bronze dies, ancient plates punched with hundreds of perfect holes, at 120 bars of pressure. That's the same pressure found 1,200 meters under the ocean. The pasta screams as it's born. Long golden strands explode out of the dies at 300 meters per minute. Hot. Wet. Vulnerable. They hang in the air like glowing spiderwebs, swaying in the superheated air. One strand breaks and the entire line could tangle. One clog and the die explodes. Workers in heat-resistant suits stand ready like surgeons, eyes locked on the curtain of pasta, hands hovering over emergency stops. They don't speak. They breathe with the machine. The strands are cut to length by spinning blades moving so fast they're invisible. The sound is deafening, a metallic shriek that never ends. But the pasta is still weak. Still mortal. 31% moisture. A ticking bomb. Now comes the longest, most dangerous part of the journey, drying. This is where most pasta dies. The strands are carried into tunnels that look like the bowels of a spaceship. 80 degrees Celsius. 90% humidity. Then suddenly 40 degrees Celsius and bone-dry air. Then back again. The temperature swings are deliberate. Violent. Designed to tear the water out from the inside without cracking the surface. If the outside dries too fast, the pasta forms a shell. The inside stays wet. Later, in your kitchen, it will crack and collapse. If it dries too slow, mold wins. Black death spreads through the batch like plague. Sensors watch every strand. Infrared cameras stare into the heart of the pasta, measuring moisture second by second. Computers adjust fans that sound like jet engines. The air itself is weaponized, blasted at 40 meters per second, hot enough to burn skin. For 12 hours, sometimes 18, the pasta fights for its life. Workers walk the tunnels in silence. Sweat pouring. Eyes burning. They touch the strands gently, testing resilience. Too soft and it's death. Too hard and it will shatter in the box. There is only one perfect moment. And they have to catch it. When the pasta finally emerges, something miraculous has happened. It is no longer food. It is armor. Golden. Indestructible. Capable of surviving years in your pantry, then enduring 10 minutes of boiling water without surrendering its perfect al dente bite. The final test is brutal. Bundles are dropped from height. Boxes are shaken like paint mixers. Only the strongest survive to be packaged. Then, in the last chamber, robotic arms move with terrifying grace. Bundles are weighed to the gram. Wrapped in paper that whispers as it seals. Boxes close with a sound like a coffin lid. And just like that, the war is over. The spaghetti sleeps. But it remembers. Every strand carries the memory of fire, pressure, and survival. Every bite you take is a victory hard won in the dark. You think you're just eating dinner. But you're tasting conquest. Next time you twirl that fork, listen closely. You can still hear it, the faint echo of roaring machines, screaming steam, and the heartbeat of a factory that never, ever sleeps. Because perfection was never rests. And neither does hunger.